In this video, we will describe a type of cognitive emotional mirroring dialogue that brings the ego's automatic programming into conscious awareness, until even the ego itself recognizes the irrationality of its habitual advice. The goal is to debate ego's motivations for making you believe, feel, and act a certain way. The debate will be between the ego and what we call the neutral observer. Both energies reside inside you. The inner debate is to show the ego that its motivations, projected goals, and desired outcomes are not really met. So why keep thinking, feeling, and doing the same when it apparently doesn't bring you what you desire?
Here's how it works psychologically and energetically. 1.
Exposure through dialogue. By having the observer speak with the ego rather than about it, you bypass shame and resistance. The ego feels seen and heard, which lowers its defensive stance. When questioned logically, did that ever really work? The ego must compare intention with outcome, revealing its own contradiction. Once its internal logic collapses, the pattern begins to lose energetic charge.
2.
Re-education of the survival system. The ego's strategies, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, were designed for safety. When the observer calmly proves that the strategy actually creates more danger, disconnection, guilt, shame, the nervous system begins to update its predictive model. This reaction doesn't keep me safe anymore.
That's when the old loop weakens and space opens for new behavior.
3. Neuro-emotional integration. Repeated inner dialogues like this activate the prefrontal cortex, reason, reflection, while soothing the amygdala, threat center. Over time, the emotional memory that once dictated automatic behavior becomes re-encoded with a new association: awareness equals safety. This is how lasting change occurs without suppression or force. 4. Energetic parallel. In energetic terms, the ego's advice is a low-frequency survival pulse trying to restore homeostasis. When the observer meets it with calm, coherent reasoning, the field harmonizes, the higher frequency awareness entrains the lower one.
The ego literally entrains upward.
5. Practical takeaway. Recognition. Notice the trigger. Belief. Emotion. Behavior change. Conversation. Let the observer question the ego with genuine curiosity, not hostility. Reflection. Compare intended safety versus actual outcome. Realization. Allow the ego to reach its own "this doesn't make sense anymore" insight.
Replacement. Offer a new experiment, pause, breathe, choose connection over defense.
So yes, once the ego sees that its strategies consistently fail to achieve safety or love, it begins to withdraw those commands automatically. The key is that the realization must arise within the ego's own logic, not be imposed from above. That's why our dialogue style works so well. It's persuasive rather than punitive. An example: let's map the ego-observer dialogue to depression, using the same structure we outlined earlier. Depression here is treated not as an identity, but as a survival strategy of the traumatized ego, an attempt to protect from pain, failure, or further disappointment by withdrawing energy and emotion. Following is how the conversation might unfold inside a person who feels trapped in that heaviness. Scenario: depression trigger, a sense of failure, loss, or meaninglessness.
Ego belief: what's the point? Nothing I do matters.
Emotion: hopelessness, guilt, fatigue. Behavior: withdrawal, self-isolation, lack of motivation.
The observer-ego dialogue.
Observer: so, we're feeling heavy again, like there's no point in doing anything, right? Ego: exactly. Every time we try, we fail or end up disappointed.
It's safer to stop trying.
Observer: so you're trying to keep us safe from more failure or disappointment? Ego: yes.
If we don't hope, we won't get hurt.
If we stop caring, maybe we'll stop feeling so much pain.
Observer: that sounds like a protective strategy. You want to prevent pain by shutting everything down. Can I ask, does that really stop the pain?
Ego: well,
not really. It numbs it. But at least we don't feel so exposed.
Observer: so it numbs, but the emptiness is still there, just quieter? Does that feel like safety or just silence? Ego:
silence, I guess. But not peace. It's like floating in the dark, no danger, but no life either. Observer, that's honest.
When you pull us into this darkness, are you hoping we'll recover strength, or are you trying to disappear completely?
Ego, at first it's about rest. But it becomes hiding. And then it's just giving up.
Because the world feels too heavy to handle.
Observer, I understand. You thought giving up would lighten the load.
But tell me, does giving up really make the load lighter, or does it make us forget we even have the strength to carry it?
Ego, when you say it like that, maybe we forget our strength. We start believing we never had any. Observer, exactly. You're trying to protect us by convincing us we're powerless, but that belief is what keeps the pain alive. Has this approach ever truly restored peace or self-worth?
Ego, no.
It just keeps us waiting for something that never comes. And we feel guilty for wasting time. Observer, so the plan to protect from pain ends up causing more pain.
If this method doesn't work, would you be open to trying another way, one that gives rest and renewal?
Ego, I guess so.
But I'm scared.
What if we try again and fail again? Observer, that fear makes sense. But what if the goal isn't to win? What if it's simply to feel alive again? To let some light back in, just a little at a time? We don't have to rush. We can rest and stay open. Safety doesn't have to mean silent.
Ego, You mean safety could be calmness, not emptiness?
Observer, exactly. Safety isn't the absence of feeling, it's the presence of compassion. And you don't have to fight for that. Just allow it.
Ego, that
actually makes more sense.
Maybe withdrawing isn't protection anymore.
Maybe it's just forgetting what living feels like. Observer. And now that you see that, you can start experimenting with small steps toward life again, without shame, without expectation.
Each breath, each spark of curiosity, is proof that you're already healing. Core insight: when the ego recognizes that its depression strategy, shutting down to avoid pain, never achieves true safety or peace, it begins to loosen its grip. The observer's role is not to fight the depression, but to help the ego realize that numbness does not equal safety, and that true protection comes from presence, compassion, and gentle engagement with life.
In the description of this video below, we will show you the Ego Observer Dialogue template you can use for any personal situation of your own. Thank you.